Hi, Sean. How are you this afternoon?
Doing well, Adam. How are you?
Good, thank you. Uh, just wanted to talk about you touched a little bit on this last night in the post game, but as you've looked at the film and we've heard the word resiliency an awful lot. And, your ability to adjust at halftime, for example, what the defense was able to do to counter what Pittsburgh was trying to do to get its offense going. I guess to me, that's a mark of a good team. How would you assess that ability on your team's part at this point in the season after that game?
Yeah, I think there's always challenges throughout any season, and then specifically last night through the game, there's always challenges through every game. So I thought our players and staff did a really good job of adjusting and finding a way to win, and that's really what it's about in terms of navigating through a season or navigating through one game. And I think that goes back to the type of people that we have, in our building, very resilient, very mentally tough, people that are not afraid to face adversity head on.
And my other question for you had to do with Josh. Sorry. His ability.
Yeah, you all right over there, man?
Oh, I'll be honest with you. It's a new furnace being put in.
That's all right.
Hang on one second. Guys, can you be quiet, please? Speaking about dealing with adversity.
Work through it, Adam. Work through it.
We saw him on the Monday Nighter against San Francisco, where he had really a great sense of control, like we talked about, and poised through that whole game. In a way, I was almost more impressed with what he did, through the first half and at halftime and adjusting the way he and the rest of the offense did. What's your assessment of that?
Yeah, again, that's what good teams do. I think you're not always going to come out and be in your best rhythm, every game. I think we saw that in the San Francisco game where our offense we were clicking right from the start pretty much, but on that early game drive there. Yesterday, not so much, and that's going to happen. And this is pro sports, and I think the bigger piece of it is, can you get yourself out of it and find plays, even though it may not have been our best night offensively, we found plays enough to win and made the necessary adjustments. And again, I think those are growth areas for us, or signs of growth for us as we move forward, as we've gone through the season to this point as well. So.
All right, Sean. Thank you. I appreciate it. I apologize for that. Thank you.
No problem. No problem.
Hey, Sean, it's John Scott. Another thing that showed me the growth of this team was the reaction to the win. Go back to the early portion of your tenure here, Atlanta, Minnesota. We saw the reaction from the team after a win that was big. This year, it seems like it's just another game, and the actions back up the words that they say. How does that show the growth of where this team views itself now, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's a maturation of a team, albeit there's some of the rosters different than what it was a year or 2 or 3 years ago. Listen, we've got a long way to go still. So this league can humble you in a hurry, and records don't matter. We saw that. You see it every weekend in this league, and the minute you start, thinking you've figured this league out, you haven't. And you guys have heard me say that before. So we really, at the end of the day, that was win number 10. And we've got to focus on trying to get win number 11 against a Denver team that's coming off of a big win. And so we've got to have a good week of practice. It's time to reset. 24-hour rule ends in about a couple hours here. So we've got a lot of work to do this week.
How challenging is it, though? Obviously, you got young guys, you got veterans, a variety of people who have had different levels of tasting success. How challenging is it for a team to, again, walk the walk as opposed to just talking the talk in regards to reset and moving on?
Well, it's human nature to want to spend your day looking at what's written about you and how good you are. And when you find a negative tweet or quote or whatever, try and scroll down until you find a positive one, or you find a positive one, you want to find another one. And that's the nature of, I think that's just human nature, right? So, but you got to stay away from that, because it's not good for anyone. and we've got to focus on continual growth. That's what, to me, is the good teams I've been around. That's what they do. It's one week after another, putting one foot in front of the other, and remaining humble and hungry.
Thanks a lot, Sean.
Sure.
Hi, Sean. As you know, as a coach, what goes into when you're thinking about that last drive of the game? You went back to Zach Moss after, the week before he had fumbled, and you kind of took him aside to, make it a teachable moment. How important is the second step of that to go back to him and get his confidence back in a big spot?
Well, again, the coaches did it really. They're the ones that put him back in the game, and certainly I kind of oversee that. But at the end of the day, Zach's the one that did it. The coaches did it, and never lost confidence in Zach. And I think it's a great example of how important that reset is. And there's going to be adverse moments, going back to Adam's question, and there's going to be tough moments. Our play, although we want it to be perfect, there's going to be moments where it isn't. And the biggest thing we can do is get ourselves back as soon as possible for our team and our teammates. And the ability to do that mentally is a skill.
What did you think of how he and the rest of the team handled that last drive there? I'm sure that was a good one to go back and watch today.
Yeah, I loved it. I don't know. I don't care if you're a pass first guy or run first guy, or that's just fun to watch right there. And so that's why we practice the way we do.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, Josh Reed here. Thanks for taking a little bit of time. Now that you've seen kind of the tape and everything a little bit, the offensive line, the effort, in particular the second half, and protecting Josh, what would you say about that unit and how they played against a defensive front that's one of the best in the league?
Yeah, it's tough. It was a tough challenge. I thought, the best thing I thought is, I thought they rocked us back maybe a little bit early in the game, and yet, the guys played their way through it. That's, again, that's finding a way to win. That's persevering. That's leadership, player-driven leadership, coach leadership as well. And, they found their way through it, and that's what you got to do. You got to fight through it. That's what these games are like down the stretch here. They're nip and tuck, and there's tough moments, whether individually or collectively as a unit or a team, and you got to keep playing.
You like how we sent that Furnace guy over to Adam's place at the right time? So that was from the Channel 4 Sports Department. Hey, thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. Have a good day, man.
See you.
Hey, Sean, it's Kim Jones. I guess I'll follow my question from last night after you did watch how did Darrell Williams fare against what?
Yeah, like we assessed last night, really, Kim. I mean, there's a couple plays I know he wants back, but I thought he held his own. So and most of the time for offensive line play, Kim, it's the sum of the parts as well. So again, I thought we got off to a little bit of a slow start, but we played our way through it, and we found our footing, and the result was what it was.
I know my sense is you're not the biggest let's single this guy out kind of coach, and I understand that. But last night, a couple of your players said really interesting things about Stephon Diggs. Deion Dawkins said there are times he wants to take the C off his jersey and put it on Diggs's because of the impact he's had. And then Josh, he didn't go out of his way, but he kind of said, listen, the media was negative when we bring this guy in. How can people be so wrong? And I guess mostly about the Dawkins comment, I'm just interested in your reaction to that. I thought that was stunning after a game, to be honest with you.
Well, I just think we need to manage expectations a little bit here, Kim. And we've got a heck of a player in Diggs, but listen, he's not the only one out there. And I don't think he wants that type of attention either. And that's been the cool piece about this with bringing Steph in is he's a team first guy. And he makes others around him better. And that's what selfless and unselfish players do. I think that's, probably some of the gravy that we didn't know we were getting when we traded for him. So, kudos to Brandon for doing his research. And he's a heck of a competitor, and I just really appreciate, whatever he's asked to do, he does to the best of his ability, and he wants us to win. And not once have I ever heard him complain, hey, I didn't get the ball enough or this or that. And he's out blocking on the perimeter of the run game, which I appreciate. And we've got 3-4 other receivers that are doing their jobs as well. So let's give those guys credit also, please.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks,
Ken. Coach, how's it going? Mookie Hawkins, 104 Sports 1080. How you doing?
Good, Mookie. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, no game is never perfect, but you outrushed the Steelers, you outpassed them, even you outpunted them and outreturned them. How impressed are you with your team the past 3 games and being consistent on playing complementary football?
Yeah, that's big. We hurt ourselves a little bit last night with some penalties, and we had some opportunities earlier in the game with some field position we didn't capitalize on. So we're learning. I think that's something we're learning, and there's a big runway in front of us as far as that goes, and just playing more in the way of complementing each other, like you said.
Now, one thing I know you love, Coach, third down. The Steelers was 1 for 10, and the thing about it is that it seemed like the team was like really emphasizing being physical at the point of attack on third down. So, how important was it for you to see those guys being physical on third down yesterday?
Yeah, I thought it was important and it was critical to our success. I love it when I see us up front playing the way we played last night. That's important. And I also like when I watch, as I mentioned to Kim, when I watch our wide receivers blocking on the perimeter, our corners tackling on the perimeter, I think that all bodes to a physical team.
Thank you, Coach.
Sure.
We can't hear you, Mike. Or go to Skursky for now. Come back to Mike.
Hey, Sean, you've got a chance tonight, depending on the result, to clinch a playoff spot with what happens with Baltimore. Will that be enough to keep you up and watching that game with any added interest?
I'm sure I'll be up. I don't know if I'll be watching it as much. Trying to again focus on Denver and our team here. That's kind of how I see it right now. So we'll see.
I mean, does the outcome of that game, if it were to go in your favor and it did clinch a playoff spot, does it mean anything in the grand scheme of things, knowing that, your goal of the division is still out there and you've got bigger goals beyond that? But, would it mean anything of any great significance this week for you or change anything for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think, listen, it's always nice to make the playoffs. You give yourself a chance to win the world championship. That said, we've got other goals. Number one is to win this week. That's really what we're focused on right now.
I know Mitch was able to come back into the game. How did he come out of it with his, I guess it was an elbow injury? And then John Brown has completed his 3-week, minimum stint. Do you have any update on how he's progressing?
Yeah, so I'll take John first. John's he is available to come back. He will practice this week, and we'll just see how it goes, Jay, with Smoke's situation. Mitch came out fairly well, and I thought he did a good job of working through it during the game.
Thank you, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, something Tre'Davious said a couple of weeks ago, still on my mind, that this defense is really starting to gel. And I feel like it might just be me, but when you think gel, you would think it's playing alongside one another. But Micah and Tremaine explained that it's been getting used to new protocols and new rules together. It's been getting used to not being able to, congregate off the field and outside the facility. So just from your perspective, what is that gelling process like for a team beyond just playing alongside one another?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some of the parts you alluded to with getting to know one another off the field, some of those side conversations that take place, hanging out, and just in their off time. I think that builds the cohesiveness and chemistry of a football team. And so there were, several new pieces to the defense, in particular up front this year, that it has taken some time to build that. And now I feel like we're, as Tre'Davious mentioned, we're heading in the right direction, give the credit to the players and the coaches for being patient, because I think it's not a very patient business, just overall. And so I think that's an important piece here as we move forward and develop as a defense in this case.
Definitely not a very patient business, but particularly over the past 2 games, is this about the complementary style football that you imagined when you saw how good your offense could be, even as your defense was struggling early in the season?
Yeah, I mean, that's, last night, and it's going to ebb and flow. Games ebb and flow. And, there were times last night when we weren't, operating all 3 phases where I wanted them to be, where we were up to our standard. And, if offense was struggling, defense picked them up, defense gave up the score, offense came back, got a score. So that's a nice balance. And then special teams, I feel like, has been playing at a high level, most of the season. And I love watching those guys play.
Gotcha. Thank you, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, Mike Catalani, you got me?
I got you, Mike. Yeah.
All right. Had a mic problem before. Leslie's mentioned several times about Levi. You got to make a play. You got Trey on the other side. And then he makes it last night. And I always think about those two. You got the walk-on, undrafted guy, the number 1 pick on the other side. Levi, gave one up last night, and then he fights back and makes the play. Is that inherently who he is as a guy? And what's his confidence level normally like? I mean, you guys will say that. You got to make a play. And then last night he goes out and makes one. It just seems like that's inherently the kind of guy he is.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his resume over the course of his life and, the different challenges that he's gone through, just the ones that I know about, Mike, and he's a winner. And, I think there's probably some people that, are these first-round picks and, but at the end of the day, Levi's a guy that, continues to rise to the top, and that's what winners do. And we certainly appreciate that about him. He's had his own journey just in his time when he's been here with us over the 3 years he's been here with us. So really proud of him and excited to watch him continue to develop here for us.
Great, thanks.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, it's Sal. Just to clarify, sorry, it's kind of funny. Half of us thought you said John Brown will practice. Half of us thought you said he won't. So I just would like to get that clarification if you can.
No, he will practice this week.
He will. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Sure, no problem.
Yep.
Hey, Coach. You guys are 4-2 on the road this season so far. Have a chance to go 5-2 with a win against the Broncos, and then one more road game with the Patriots. Just curious of what your message has been to the team, just going on the road this season, and a weird season. If it's been any easier to play on the road since the guys really can't go anywhere and you're in your hotel room for so long, or if it's been a little bit different of a message this season playing on the road.
Yeah, I think really, Maddie, outside of the protocols that we had to, inform our players of early on in the season when we did go on the road for the first time, outside of that, I think it's been fairly similar, albeit no fans or few fans at some of these away stadiums. It's been fairly similar once we all got on the same page in terms of the protocols that we are under and want to abide by.
Thanks, Coach.
Sure.
Yeah. Yes. Good afternoon, Coach. George Radney, Challenger Community News.
Hi, George.
All righty. 2 quick questions for you. One is on the when they moved the kickers back on extra points. Did you expect to see so many missed extra points across the league, or what is your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a whole, anytime you move it back, you're operating from further distance. So I think there's a chance that some of those kicks from time to time, are missed. But I'm extremely proud of Tyler Bass. Just a separate conversation. I think he's had a really good rookie season to this point and kicking really well.
Yeah, especially with the conditions that we have to face here every day here in Western New York. Yeah. And my second question, do you thinking about taking the team out to Denver early due to the altitude to get the team acclimated to the conditions out there in Denver?
Well, we do our research, George, and I really rely on our sports science department, Joe Collins, Joe Club that we have here, and our trainers and medical staff and strength and conditioning staff. And they feel comfortable with what we're doing in our plan, and we're going to stay with our routine and go out the day before.
All righty. Thank you very much. And congratulations on that big win last night.
Okay. Thank you, George. Appreciate it.
Hey, Sean, being 10-3 at this point, and after beating the Steelers, who just a couple of weeks ago were undefeated and considered a Super Bowl contender, I think that expectations among fans are changing. How are you handling or addressing Super Bowl conversations internally or externally?
We're focused on number 11 right now. Really, Tim, and we haven't even qualified for the playoffs. So the only thing we've earned at this point is all that noise, and that's we got to block that out, honestly. So we just got to really go back to the vault and insulate ourselves from all that noise and focus on the job. It doesn't sound fun to you guys, but that's what we have to do.
We're not used to it. This is something new for us. Do you find, to use your metaphor, are you in the vault, or do you have to find yourself sometimes pulling people back into the vault?
Well, that's where we try and facilitate an environment around here where they can be in the vault, but be themselves. And I think that's the cool part about what we've done here in the building is guys like to be here. They like being around one another, and it's kind of a world within the world type of situation, I guess. And so try and be mindful of it though too, because we're dealing with young men and young women who, some of them are new to this, and you're talking about the best of the best. So every week you got to go back, reset, start all over again. But that's where the process comes in. You got to love that, man. You got to love the preparation. You got to love putting in the time and the work to get yourself to where we were with the outcome last night. And that's why it makes it so special when you can win those games, because the hard work that went into it.
So you think it's maybe easier as you're having these successes 1 week at a time and stacking or whatever it is to keep coming back to that mentality as a reminder of look, we're obviously it's working for us. Let's make sure we don't stray from it.
Yeah, I mean it's not easy. I mean, look around the league, what just happened this past weekend, where teams with winning records up here versus teams with other so the game's flipped, right? So that's the nature of the NFL, and so you got to respect that. You got to respect the league in a lot of ways, not only on the field but off the field in your approach. And I'm just a big believer in consistency, and I think when you can create an environment where it's consistent and expectations are clear, that guys can have the chance to be their best.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.